The Beyond the Barbed Divide Christmas Story 2018. The Purple Star Bearer, starring Mussy a doll, Tompkin a horse, Dillis a cow, and Paul a turtle. "We're going to do what?" Tompkin asked defiantly. He had just walked in on a conversation between Mussy, Dillis, and Paul. "We're going to be in the nativity scene," Paul replied with a grin. "And just whose idea was this?" Tompkin sounded irritated. "Astor's," Mussy said. "Zach had to rebuild some of the staging. He made it wider for more characters to be added in future years, but right now, besides the Holy Family, there's only one donkey and one sheep. There is a lamb someone is trying to redo, but it might not get finished in time for this Christmas." "They could use a horsey," Dillis, our cow, said, smiling at Tompkin. "Me!" sputtered Tompkin. "In a nativity set? No, thank you." "But Tompkin," said Paul, "think of the children." "You're going to be in there?" asked Tompkin in a not very nice voice. "Who ever heard of a turtle being in a nativity scene? You'll be a laughing stock." "I don't mind, if it makes the children smile or even laugh," Paul said quietly. "Please, Tompkin," Mussy pleaded. Dillis rolled her eyes and swished her tail. Then she said in a sort of sing-song voice, "Wings is going to be there." "No!" Tompkin exclaimed. Dillis bobbed her head side to side. "Wings is going to be there. His head will hold a crown that has a star." She let the R sound stretch out in a sing-song way. Irritated, Tompkin practically hissed, "What's a purple dragon got to do with the nativity? In fact, I guess a purple dragon has absolutely no place whatsoever in the nativity scene." "Oh, Tompkin," Mussy said, "you know Wings is so sweet. He even reaches the tops of the nut and fruit trees to give to anyone in need. And who do you think was under the Santa's sleigh float in the parade to move it when Farmer Ray's tractor wouldn't start at the last minute?" "I still say there's no place for a purple dragon in a nativity scene," Tompkin snorted and shook his mane. Mussy, Paul, and Dillis all sighed. Bertie entered the cabin. "I tell you, I've been in my studio nook all day and I need a break. I repainted a clump of trees on that canvas I'm trying to finish for Astor so many times that they just look like green rocks to me now, or some kind of weird green blobs. Every time I paint branches in and add leaves, I overdo them. Hello, did I interrupt something?" There was a slight awkward pause. Then Dillis decided to say, "Tompkin doesn't want to be in the nativity scene." "Oh," Bertie said. "Oh, well, I can understand that." "You can?" gasped Paul, Mussy, and Dillis all at once. "Sure," Bertie continued. "Tompkin is a refined horse. Standing in a stable where a donkey carried the mother of the baby Jesus would be just too humiliating. Do I have paint on this shirt?" And she looked at the bottom of her hem of her sloppy blue light t-shirt. "Now see here," Tompkin bellowed. "I'm not a snob. Donkeys are fine creatures. In fact, I've been mistakenly referred to as one." "Well then, you'd add a nice balance to the scene." Mussy smiled sweetly while saying this. They all smiled at Tompkin. After some mane shaking and a bit of hoof stomping, Tompkin finally gave in. "All right," he said. "Just don't put me next to that purple disaster area." Bertie looked puzzled. "He means our dear friend," said Paul, emphasizing dear friend. "He means our dear friend Wings." "Oh," Bertie laughed, "our star bearer." You couldn't have made even a cardboard angel to hold the star, Tompkin asked. Well, I could have, Bertie answered. But you see, Wings has his crown from his treasure stash that has a huge place in the center to hold a small lantern, and I formed a star around that. He could move the star with that neck of his. The children will love it. And Wings really wanted to be in the scene, but he was... Dillis's voice trailed off. He was, Paul picked up where Dillis had stopped, afraid that there would be no place for a purple dragon in a nativity scene. Paul looked hard at Tompkin. Dillis hung her head and raised her eyes. Mussy twiddled her hands. Bertie sighed. There was silence in the cabin. Well, said Tompkin slowly, maybe there's a place for a purple star holder. Tompkin lowered his proud horsey head just a bit and gave a small smile. Oh, Tompkin! Everyone cheered and hugged him. Christmas Eve arrived. The friends all walked together. They went early enough to be in a place at the nativity scene before the service. But when they arrived, there was disappointing news. The pastor met them outside the door. Hello, he began, but he didn't look or sound cheerful. I have something a bit unpleasant to tell you. The friends all looked at each other. Bertie asked, has something happened to Zach? I know he was going to work on a few things. No. Oh, well, Zach is okay. A bit miffed, the pastor muttered, but he's okay. There was a pause. Then the pastor continued hurriedly, as if he was afraid he'd lose his courage. It's been decided, some of the people feel, you see, I'm sorry, but, Wings can't be in the church tonight. They all gasped. I'm very sorry, the pastor said, lowering his head. But as some of our people were talking to Zach, they don't mind a talking cow or horse or doll or turtle. But you see, I'm afraid a dragon, especially a purple dragon, just, isn't in the fashion of the scene. I'm very sorry. It's too bad. If he'd been brown and could blend into the woodwork, perhaps. You can't, can you? He can what? Dillis asked. Well, he can't possibly change colors, maybe? Responded the pastor. They all looked at Wings, who slumped. Have you ever seen a dragon slump? No, let me tell you. His shoulders sagged and his head bowed down. It was a sad sight. I'm sorry, Wings told them. I can't even sparkle. I'm just plain purple. Oh, Wings, I'm so sorry, Mussy said, patting him. If Wings isn't going inside, I'm not either, exclaimed Paul. And not be, at least around here, the first turtle in a nativity scene, Wings asked. Don't be silly. Go on in before everyone arrives. I'll just go sit on the hill back there, out of the way. Before they could speak words of protest that were forming in their mouths, Wings started walking. He's fast for a dragon, Tompkin said, watching Wings go. The pastor had quietly ducked inside. Mussy said to her friends, Come on, Wings is right. Think of the children and the others who didn't make this decision. Let's get in place so they don't know about this. Without a star, it will be dark there at the side of the church, Tompkin observed. Dillis sniffled. It's just as well that they can't see me cry. The friends with sad, slow feet and hooves shuffled into the church. Except Bertie. Bertie acted like she was going to slowly follow them inside, but instead she followed after Wings. When Bertie reached Wings, she sat down next to him and leaned on him. What are you doing here? Wings asked her. Bertie replied, If they don't want you in there, then I'm not going in either. Besides, some of them don't want me there either. Why not? Asked Wings. Mostly because I draw, Bertie answered. Some because I'm poor and wasn't brought up in their church, but mostly because I draw. Why? Wings asked, questioning, sounding confused. Bertie took a deep breath. Some see it as disrespectful and as distracting. Others, well, let's just say they're more worried about intellect than heart. The two sat in silence together. Wings broke the silence by wondering, why did you start drawing in church in the first place? Well, I'd seen the drawings Dr. Frederick Frank had done way back at what they called Vatican II, a church council, and I felt Jesus calling me to try something similar. Bertie fumbled with her tote bag that held her sketchbook and pencils. I had this foolish notion, she continued, of traveling around, sketching the beauty of us all worshiping God together in our various places and ways. Well, I didn't get very far. Wings wrapped the end of his tail around Bertie. Jesus isn't calling you to draw tonight? He quietly asked her. Oh, Wings, that's not fair, Bertie cried. Isn't he? Wings persisted. Tears slipped out of Bertie's eyes. Wings used the tip of his tail to dab them as he said, I'll still be here after the service is over. I'll wait for everyone. Bertie hugged her friend and hurried back to the church. It was hard for Bertie to feel like drawing, but sitting next to Astor and Zach to the side where she could see Mussy, Dillis, Tompkin, and Paul nestled into the nativity scene, she decided to start by drawing a baby Jesus. He came out looking happier than she wanted, but she left it, moving into quickly sketching the readers, a book for the Bible, and just after the gospel reading, as Bertie was considering which phrase to write on the sketch, a horrid, high-pitched shrieking pierced everyone's ears. It came from high up in the back of the building. Everyone turned to look. Some covered their ears. Small children and babies began to cry. It was a horrible, pitiful noise. I think it's a bat, someone exclaimed. A bat caught in something way up there, someone else said. Oh, we haven't got a ladder high enough, said one of the older members. Zach made his way to the pastor. I know someone who can maybe reach it, and so do you, he told the pastor. The pastor looked at Zach, then at certain members who had gathered around debating what to do. Yes, Zach, the pastor mused, we definitely all do know who can reach that poor distressed creature. Too bad he's forbidden inside. Well now, sputtered one of the members. We never actually said he was forbidden inside. No, we didn't, another member said. A third person joined in. We just thought he might be uncomfortable squeezed into that space at the side. Zach didn't wait to hear any more. Besides, he was irritated with his fellow church members, and it took him tremendous effort not to say what he was thinking. He took off running. Wings saw Zach running towards him, so he got up to meet him. Zach gasped between breaths. Backed! Up! Trapped! Shrieking! Need you! Wings patted Zach until his breathing got better. Then they walked back together. Zach propped both doors open, then hurried to open the inside doors while Wings lowered his neck and squeezed himself through. Once inside, several people gasped. Many of them moved to the front, giving Wings space. Wings stretched his neck so that his face was near the little bat, who was losing its voice from shrieking. Wings couldn't untangle it by himself. Mussy! Wings called. Zach carried Mussy over to Wings. Mussy, Wings said, you're small and light. Will you please ride up on my head to untangle the little bat? Sure, Mussy nodded. A little boy came forward. Can you use My scarf to wrap the little bat in?" he asked, holding out a dark blue knitted scarf. "Good idea," Zack said as he handed the scarf to Mussy. A lady stood next to Zack. "I can take the bat if they can get him down," she told Zack. "I'll take it to my animal hospital and make sure it's okay." "Thanks, Dr. Jones," Zack said. Everyone watched while Mussy gently untangled the bat and spoke soft to it. Finally, the little bat quieted and was safe in the scarf. Dr. Jones put her finger to her lips to remind everyone to be quiet until she could get the bat outside. Once Dr. Jones was out the doors, the pastor turned to Wings, said, "Thank you." Then they began clapping. Nearly everyone turned towards Wings then and clapped. Wings smiled and bobbed his head. Then he lowered it when he saw the nativity scene. I guess I should leave now," he told them all. The pastor coughed, looking at several parishioners who had lowered heads. "Well," one of them said, "he is already inside. And the manger scene does need a star," observed someone else. "I have an idea," Tompkins spoke from the side loud enough for others to hear. They turned towards him. "Why don't you lower the curtain that's been used in the past to separate this space, and we'll get ready while you all finish your service." Everyone agreed to this, and after the heavy curtain was lowered, it was easier to concentrate and continue the rest of the service. Parents whispered to their children to wait for a surprise. As they were singing the final Christmas hymn, the curtain opened, and there was a star moving in the dark expanse of the side room, holding the manger scene. The star continued slowly upward from side to side until it came to stop at the perfect spot to shine on the baby Jesus, the Christ child. And it shined there through a few more songs, giving joy to the children and the adults who stayed. Of course, a few adults left in disgust, missing the celebration afterwards. But please don't think kindly of them, because God loves us all and waits for us to seek that love, shining on us when we do. Merry Christmas.